Hey everybody, Diabetic Daddy 76 here with another video update. As some of you may know, I just recently got a 5.4% on my last A1C. It was an at-home A1C, so I still have to take my actual labs next month, and we'll compare them then. But tonight I want to show you an idea that I had today for some good old-fashioned comfort food. Now, as you know, I like to make desserts, and I like to make easy meals that are diabetic friendly, paleo friendly, and yes, vegetarian friendly, because my wife is a vegetarian. So today I was thinking it's kind of cloudy outside, it's the beginning of winter, out here it is, and what is a good comfort food? And I thought shepherd's pie. Unfortunately, shepherd's pie has stuff like potatoes in them, things that are not copacetic with a paleo diet, let alone a diabetic style diet. Then I got to thinking, maybe I don't need potatoes. So I came up with an alternative recipe. We're going to try it out tonight. What you're going to need for the paleo version of the recipe is 2 heads of cauliflower. For the paleo version, I'm using buffalo meat, wild buffalo, extra virgin olive oil, mushrooms, carrots peeled and chopped, onion, chopped, some paprika, Worcestershire sauce, kosher salt. I use that because it really adds an amazing bit of flavor, some black ground pepper, and broth. Other recipes call for the use of flour for the gravy, but it is not necessary. It also calls for cream, also not necessary. One thing we're also going to try is we're going to try and use cashews in place of flour for a thickening agent to our gravy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it in my coffee grinder, and I'm going to grind it up to make a meal or a flour. I'd say about 2 tablespoons should do it. Let's find out if it works. So using my coffee grinder, I ground up those cashews and I made cashew flour. With the cauliflower, the first thing I did was I steamed it the quick way. I put it in the microwave. And then I transferred it over to our food processor, where I whipped it into a mashed potato type texture. I will set this aside when I'm done and use that for the mashed potato topping. So I've taken the mushrooms, I've taken bell pepper, onions, carrots, again a little bit of garlic, and the extra virgin olive oil. And I'm going to saute them in this pan. I went ahead and added the meat. Like I said, this time I'm using wild buffalo. You can use venison, elk, beef, lamb, whatever meat you want to use for this. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my kosher salt and some pepper, mix it in with the meat, set it on a low-medium heat, and let it simmer for a couple minutes while I make the paleo-friendly gravy. The recipe calls for 1 cup of chicken broth, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, and 2 tablespoons of flour. In this one I used 2 cups, 4 teaspoons, and then for the flour I used the cashew flour. Once the gravy thickens, I'm going to add it to the mix now. Now I'm going to stir in the gravy, and then I'm going to transfer it over to another dish where I'm going to put the mashed cauliflower on top of it. So I've added the meat and the gravy to a dish, and on my mashed cauliflower I have added a little bit of chicken broth and mashed it in a little bit more. And now I'm going to put it on top of the meat, and then I'm going to add some paprika. So once the cauliflower is on top of the shepherd's pie meat, go ahead and add some paprika to the top for flavoring. We're going to put the broiler on high, and we're going to put this in the oven about 6 to 8 inches away from the heat source. And we will cook it hopefully until the cauliflower browns a little bit. But since this is the first time I've ever done this, who knows if it will. After 8 minutes in the oven, you can see it's browning just nicely. Keep it in there for a little longer. I'd say 10 minutes, broil on high, ready to eat. Here is the finished product for the paleo shepherd's pie. So here we are at the best part of cooking, and that is getting to try for the first time what it is you've made. That is some real comfort food right there. If you're on the paleo diet and you miss things like shepherd's pie, there are alternatives out there. Also, if you're a vegetarian and you miss things like shepherd's pie, there are alternatives out there. If there's one thing I've learned this past year on my whole journey to reverse my diabetes, is that one diet doesn't necessarily work for everybody. For example, my wife has her own medical needs that require her to eat vegetarian dishes. I, however, need a lot more protein, less carbohydrates, so I eat meat dishes. Now, I don't eat just any meat dish. I prefer wild game meat because it is a leaner, healthier, more organic meat. The point is that you yourself need to sit down and find out what works for you. Be honest with yourself. Is it really the best diet for you? There are many things on the paleo diet that works great for me as a diabetic. However, there are a few things that don't work for me. In those instances, I make exceptions. I'm not a purist. I've mentioned that many times. My wife is the same way as a vegetarian. So, sit down with yourself, sit down with your doctor, think about what you need, and then go for it. Anyway, I'm going to get back to my shepherd's pie. So this is Diabetic Daddy 76 saying have a good day and stay healthy.